To maximize the benefits and minimize the drawbacks, the EU will have to adopt a balanced approach that integrates defense spending with the long-term economic and social goals. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to speak here at Berlin Economic Forum, and I would like to thank the organizers and Mark for inviting me here. Sometimes I ask myself, and as well as my friends and colleagues, what can be seen as a cornerstone of a global development, peace, and democracy in the situation in which the whole world is facing different types of challenges, which we heard today a lot of. There are three important drivers among a variety of them, which in the long run can be seen as cornerstones of global development, democracy, and peace. Those are social mobility, security and defense, and artificial intelligence. Social mobility is ability of individuals to move up or down the socio-economic ladder based on their efforts and talents. When societies enable their citizens to rise above their circumstances, they unlock the potential for innovation, stability, and collective prosperity. Let me consider the role of social mobility in advancing global development. A society that fosters upward mobility is one that invests in its people. Global development is not just about increasing GDP, it's about improving the well-being of all people and ensuring that no one is left behind. Social mobility is a critical tool for achieving these goals. By providing access to equal quality education, healthcare, and economic opportunities, nations empower individuals to contribute meaningfully to their economies. Their contributions to economies, whether through creating jobs, developing new technologies, or driving productivity, benefit society as a whole. Studies have shown that countries with higher levels of social mobility tend to experience stronger and more sustainable economic growth. That is because mobility fosters a more skilled and motivated workforce and reduces income inequality. When a child from a low-income family can become a doctor, engineer, or entrepreneur, the society reaps the benefits of their skills and creativity. Conversely, when social mobility is stifled, nations waste talent and perpetuate cycles of poverty, which stifles economic growth. This lack of mobility has far-reaching consequences for sustainable investments and the economy. When large segments of the population cannot access opportunities, consumer spending stagnates, innovation slows, and social unrest grows. Sustainable investments require a stable and inclusive society to thrive. Without social mobility, the risk undermining the very foundation of sustainable economic growth increases. Social mobility also drives innovation. History has shown us that some of the greatest advancements in science, technology, and the arts have come from the individuals who transcended their humble beginnings. In addition, let me point out the connection between social mobility and democracy. Democracy thrives when citizens believe that their voices matter and that their efforts can lead to a better future. Social mobility reinforces this belief. When people see that hard work and talent can lead to success, they are more likely to engage in the democratic process, trusting that their participation can bring about positive change. On the other hand, when social mobility is limited, disappointment sets in. Citizens who feel trapped by their circumstances are more likely to lose faith in democratic institutions, viewing them as rigged in favor of privileged few. This erosion of trust can lead to political instability, polarization, and even authoritarianism. Therefore, fostering social mobility is not just an economic imperative, it's also a democratic one. The role of social mobility in promoting peace is also significant. Inequality and lack of opportunity are often root causes of conflict. When large segments of population are excluded from the benefits of economic growth, resentment builds and social cohesion breaks down. This can lead to unrest, violence, and even armed conflicts. Besides, societies that promote social mobility create a sense of hope and shared purpose. When individuals believe that they can improve their lives through peaceful means, they are less likely to turn towards extremism or violence. Social mobility fosters inclusivity, reducing the gaps between different groups and building bridges of understanding. In this way, it becomes a powerful tool for peace building. Peace building is heavily impacted by security challenges the world is facing today. Whether in form of interstate armed conflicts, terrorism, cyber attacks, or geopolitical tensions, security challenges have direct impact on economic stability. You all know that investors are less likely to commit to long-term sustainable projects in regions exposed to instability. Increased investments in defense and security in the European Union, which are expected in the period ahead of us, could have significant and multifaceted impacts on the EU economy. These impacts would depend on the scale of the investments, how they are financed, and the broader geopolitical context. While they could stimulate job creation, technological innovation, and regional development, they might also strain public finances, divert resources from other priorities, and they can create new geopolitical risks. The overall impact will depend on how these investments are managed and the level of coordination among EU member states. To maximize the benefits and minimize the drawbacks, the EU will have to adopt a balanced approach that integrates defense spending with the long-term economic and social goals. Moreover, resources spent on addressing security threats could otherwise be used to fund education, healthcare, and infrastructure, which are key drivers of social mobility and sustainable development. In this context, rebuilding trust and cooperation on the global stage is essential. Sustainable investments require a stable and predictable environment, both domestically and internationally. Finally, let me turn to the challenges and opportunities of artificial intelligence. AI has the potential to revolutionize industries, boost productivity, and address some of the world's most pressing problems, from climate change to healthcare. However, it also possesses significant risks, particularly to jobs displacement, bias in algorithms, the concentration of power in hands of few tech giants, and of course, as a result, inequality. Besides, extensive integration of AI technologies may create a new set of inequalities between countries. The digital gap between high and low-income countries is likely to lead to significant disparities in the societal impact of AI technologies. The most vulnerable countries and communities could be further left behind, digitally isolated from other turbocharged AI breakthroughs in economic productivity, finance, climate, education, and healthcare. For sustainable investments to succeed in an AI-driven economy, we must ensure that benefits of AI are widely shared. This means investing in education and retraining programs to help workers adapt to the changing job market, regulating AI to prevent misuse, and promoting ethical standards that prioritize the public good. Ladies and gentlemen, it is evident that the world in which we grew up, post-World War II era, that witnessed the establishment of social states in Europe, creation of EU on the idea on peace and prosperity across the continent, and transatlantic defense partnership among the liberal democracies has come to an end. The old is gone, and the new one has not been established yet. The new paradigm paradigm will be constructed, and I believe that social mobility, balanced approach that integrates defense and security spending with long-term economic and social goals, as well as opportunities coming from AI technology, can be key drivers of advancing development, democracy, and peace, especially in Europe. History has taught us what happens if the hope is shattered or given to populist loud voices, and that scenario is very grim. Therefore, governments, civil society, academia, and individuals must work together to provide not just a hope, but the real possibility of realization of that hope. It is time to act, and the time is now. Thank you very much.